Previously on Unfiltered Culture.
There was a time that Ethiopians roam around Europe with like lions and stuff.
What is the place that really left like a very good impression?
Me, a friend of mine, and a former dean of my high school.
For people who do not know what that means.
In India, they used to call me Basu. You know, the traditional education system is failing.
Have you been working?
You end up knowing more about yourself and your own background by when you're exposed to different cultures and different people and different identities.
In this episode of Unfiltered Culture, we sit down with an inspiring guest who shares his fascinating journey from Ethiopia to India and Germany.
We dive into how he adapted to different cultures, overcame personal challenges, and navigated academic life abroad.
Hello and welcome again, everybody, to Unfiltered Culture. I'm your host, Aman. Again, we have another guest. Please welcome my good friend, Mr. Fakad. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to your phenomenal podcast.
Thank you so much for coming. So, Mr. Fakad, it's a nice name, but also people struggle how to pronounce it, apparently.
Yeah.
So can you tell us the meaning of it and the funniest or surprising how people pronounce your name?
So the meaning of my name is Basu means him, as in God, and Fakad is will. So basically the meaning of the name is by the will of God.
Okay.
And it was given by my mom, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Funny stories related to my name. Most people don't know how to pronounce it, especially outside Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, it's a typical name, so they can't pronounce the K part, which is understandable. So, yeah. In German, the new thing I have found is they pronounce the S as Z, I don't know how to, the double S.
Okay.
So they end up saying Bazufekad, and so that's the only thing. I don't think it's a joke, but yeah.
Interesting. I mean, names in a new country or in a different country could be also an adjustment for other people.
Yeah.
And for yourself as well. Did you just give yourself then a nickname by just because you're like, people cannot say my name, so just call me this?
Yeah, I just shorten it as Basu, so everyone can pronounce it. But still people are like Basu. In India, they used to call me Basu.
Basu?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because it's apparently a Bengali name.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wanted to... Anyways, good.
Yeah.
Thank you for leading me there. I was about to ask you about traveling and living outside of Ethiopia. So how long have you been living outside of Ethiopia?
So
in total?
Yeah, I basically left home when I was 19, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not that old now, but like I went straight from high school to college in India. I studied there for around plus or minus 5 years. Then now I'm here in Germany.
So since then you've traveled a lot.
Yeah,
I would say.
I've here and there. Yeah. Not much. Though. Not much. Yeah.
So, what is the place that really left like a very good impression?
Like in general, or
one place you've been to?
Tough question. I think India has a special place for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to sound in one way or another, but like I've lived there for 5 years, and it's probably because my early adult life, like independence, was there. So I've experienced new things, and I've personally grew more in India because I had to manage by my own things far from home. So I have a special place for India.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So, just a side note, I had a guest here who was from India on my first episode. So it's interesting, like coincidentally.
Yeah.
But it's nice. And how traveling, like the experience of traveling, shaped your perspective in your life and a culture.
Traveling, like not in a sense of the vacation traveling.
Of course.
So because my main purpose of traveling was education, so I didn't have any predetermined notion of what it means to be in a different place.
Okay.
But once you start living in it, you get different insights. So it's very much like you learn a couple of things from when you're upbringing and whatever, cultural principles, ideals, values, and all of these things.
Of course.
Then when you go to a new place, you need to unlearn whatever you have. It was like, oh, this is how the world functions.
Okay.
And you need to readjust with things. And you probably you'd add more values.
Time. Okay.
And you'll also keep some of the values that is really part of your core identity, and you probably build it up. One insight I've got from going places, like different places, is like it's weirdly there you end up knowing more about yourself and your own background when you're exposed to different cultures and different people and different identities.
Of course.
So you end up, because during conversations, like they ask you things that your own people won't ask you. So you have to have an answer for those things.
Sure.
And you end up, oh, I thought you knew this. So you go up, read up, watch people, videos and this and that. So I ended up knowing about myself and my roots more than I assume I would have learned if I was just back home. Yeah.
So that traveling purposely, like the first purpose was education. At the end of the day, you learn more about yourself.
Yes.
So not only education from
outside the
school.
classroom. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So do you find that your travels or like places you stayed outside of your own country have helped you grow personally and professionally?
So two ways. Like the personal growth, it's the same thing that I have mentioned earlier. So your core values, how you see the world, how you see your interaction with other people. Like your classmates, for instance, in an educational setup. Like you might find yourself at like parties or gatherings, and you have to explain about who's like the original place of jollof rice, whereas I was not exposed to jollof rice in Ethiopia, for instance, as a normal regular. So my identity is not just Ethiopian identity, but also my African identity comes up because the world sees as like a one place. So you have to know certain things that are really important, which I also value. Like I understood my African identity, and I have appreciated that more after leaving my small island Ethiopia and exposing with the other world. But on a professional sense, so you see different. So I'm studying even now. But there are different methodologies and structures of different, like for instance in India, there is some requirements you need to fulfill to be a good enough student or to make it in academia. And when you come to Europe and Germany, there's a different game. And
of course.
So you need to see at the very start of the semester and like your journey, you need to see what is required and what's needed to make it. So you need to, again, adjust things accordingly. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you said, you mentioned you study now also here.
Yeah.
So you went also to India for study. So what did you study in India and what are you studying now in Germany?
So I studied in a liberal arts college, one of the very few that are in India. It's called Ashoka University.
Okay.
But
Shout out to Ashoka University.
It was amazing, and I studied. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science. I studied biology, general biology there, and now I'm doing my graduate studies in LMU Munich.
Oh, wow.
And I'm doing a program called Evolution, Ecology, and Systematics. It's a master's program. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm more specializing into what I'm interested in biology. Yeah.
Okay, what is that specifically? Can you give us like, for people who do not know what that means?
The program or
Yeah,
whatever
program.
stream I'm doing?
The program.
So, yeah, it's more about the interaction of organisms, like natural organisms, let it be like plants, animals, birds, whatever, and their interaction with their environment and how that dynamics, networks, and interaction. It's like there is a systems view of like biology, life, basically, how it interacts, instead of just taking it in the lab, isolating it and trying to understand it.
Okay.
You study it in its natural environment and see how the dynamics work.
Wow.
And you do that in like an evolutionary framework, like evolutionary theory framework. Yeah.
Nice. So
I'm sorry if I'm adding too much jargon into the conversation,
no.
but this is the best I can do. Yeah.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, now I know what you mean. Probably people also now know what exactly you meant. So before I take you back to India and Germany, what was the biggest adjustment you have to make once you arrived in Germany?
In Germany, biggest adjustment. So my expectations of my expectations of like the social interaction, the cultural aspect, and in an academic sense, what was required from me as a student. I had to reflect and learn a lot, and obviously the weather was a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my first kind of shock. I don't know if shock is the right word.
Of course, for someone who has like sun and rain the whole year, of course it's a shock. For me, when I came here first, it's also the same.
Yeah.
Was how long are you in Germany now?
Almost a year. Yeah.
A year. So you
more than a year? Few months. Yeah.
Okay. So, is it you have seen like snow here the first time or in?
No. So I this was not my first time in Europe.
Ah, okay.
So I came to I was in France for a while.
Okay.
And that was my first time. It was in 2018. 2018, yeah.
Oh wow.
So that was my first time exposure with the white snow.
How was that?
It was beautiful, at the same time terrifying, because I don't know, it's like your first time. I know in Ethiopia some mountain tops and stuff, you have snow and stuff, but
it's not the same consistency.
The whole place shining white and stuff, it's a bit new.
Because I remember also there's the first time I saw snow or something, and there was this guy. I still remember this. I don't remember his face, but he says, like German guy. He says, "So this is the first time seeing snow." And for me back then, it was just like he's maybe joking or something. But a lot of people back then, Germany was not the same now. Just of course, English, black, white. It was different. Yeah. But then, the more I understood German, I was like, this could be two-sided. It's like maybe he's joking, like have fun with me, or just joking because he thinks I have never seen snow. But it's still stuck in my head. But yeah, it's interesting. So, what about India? Is it the same for you, or like the challenges you had, or to adjust?
Yeah, there is the language aspect. That this is what my realization now when I'm reflecting on it. I was in a residential campus, so I was dealing with mostly English speaking majority university students. And it wasn't that challenging to navigate your day-to-day life because I'm on campus. You'd go to the city to shop or do have good meal or whatever. But I was never I was not really as independent as I am. I am in Germany now.
Okay.
So, and you don't have bills coming to your to your you don't have to register into the system like in the same way that you do registration in India. So that was a bit of a tiny struggle that I had to deal with like in the first few months. Then once you know the system, you just roll with it.
Yeah. And which city you were in India?
So it's a very tiny city called Sonipat. I mean, tiny not in a sense of size, but like it's not the most popular city district area, but it's like 40 minutes from New Delhi.
Oh, okay.
So in a state called Haryana. I'm being too technical because that's where the location is at. Yeah.
That's nice. So looking back at it now, because whenever you travel all over the place, you will find new friends, new culture, and all kind of experiences.
Yeah.
What is the culture or the experience you got from India that you are able to use it now in Germany?
Yeah. Okay. Tough question. What is the skills or like?
Yeah, I mean that you learn something everywhere you go. So that, like you said, you learn more about yourself once you're outside of Ethiopia.
Yes.
So did that help you also to adjust to German culture because of you were first outside of, like, before you go to India, you were in France?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, not before India, but like while I was in India, I came.
okay, India was the first.
Yeah, India was my first.
So then, yeah. So the experiences and the lessons you have learned from India, did that help you now to navigate your life in Germany?
Yeah.
To make it easier.
Again, it ties up with like the cultural baggage and the identity you carry.
Yeah.
So like when I went from Ethiopia to India, it was like it was the first time, so you don't have that much of an expectation. And my idea of India was completely different than it is now.
Yeah.
So, but once you travel outside the country and go other places, you know what to expect to some extent, even though there are different cultures.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're bringing like an Ethiopian individual to the conversation, and sometimes you'll expect certain kind of questions to pop up in some conversation, and you'll navigate through them. And you'll also, so this is what I've found in myself. I don't know if it's my Ethiopian side, but like I kind of have the urge to put the Ethiopian sprinkle into conversations. You know, we have this, we have that. Yeah. Not in a very weird nationalistic sense, but like in since the people want to know you, but they don't know how to approach you and ask the good questions. So you just give them without them, suffering through the weird politically correct questions. And
I see.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. Yeah. So you actually being a good friend. I mean, like for potential friends.
Yeah, potential friends. That's a good statement. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, of course, it's a good space to create for people who want to learn more about you and your culture. So it makes sense. Have you been working in any other country, like in India or in France or in Germany? Or did you just study?
It depends on, like, I've been studying, so I have done student jobs. In Ethiopia, I did, during the COVID period, I just worked there for a year.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I'm that exposed to the professional working world.
Okay. So any type of work?
I don't do 9/11s. Like I've never done 9/11 jobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also in Germany you're not working? Like mini job?
Mini jobs? Yeah, I'm currently working. Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking you is I want you to give me how it is, the working life in India, and so I can have a bit of a comparison to India, France, and Germany. If you were exposed to those countries working.
I see.
How was that if you have to work? How was that experience for you? Because I know Germans are very strict.
Yeah. I mean, they're strict even in academia, so we need meetings and this and that. Working environment. I would be a stretch if I say I have that kind of professional exposure to like to notice this is that. But yeah, as long in India at least, working as a student, like you need to finish the job. That's the main requirement, and maybe the job I was doing was not as. So I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Okay. Yeah. So let me give you another question. How about instead of the work experience, the study experience?
Yeah.
How was that?
So the study experience is, so in India, like again, it was, I don't think it's the best representation of the Indian education system. The university I went to. Yeah. Because it's kind of like I talk to other Indians and they're like, are you sure? Are you sure you were studying in India? But so I was lucky enough to be in like a good uni to like have a one-on-one interaction with my professors and my advisors. So I knew what they wanted. There is a level of rigorousness that they expect from you, which is very good.
Yeah.
And it pushes you to like learn things on your own. So I was lucky with that aspect, and I was not expecting this spoon feeding kind of approach where like I managed to learn to work on my own and learn skills. So it was easy for me to navigate after coming here because I didn't expect much from professors, but at the same time I was kind of disappointed because like I expected that one-on-one like my expectations of that one-on-one interaction with your professors was like at the highest in Ashoka. And here, like it's a different educational approach. LMU is a good university, but like you wouldn't expect the same kind of interaction. So I feel like I've gained more with networks in Germany than I have had in India. Because in India, you have many students within that academic circle, so you need to outshine to some extent.
Okay.
But here there are different avenues that you can reach out to, like big professional researchers and stuff that come to visit your uni. Like LMU, they come visit and give talks and stuff. So it was easy to like just approach them and interact with them and make connections.
Nice. So what is the one thing about the study culture between Germany and India that each other, like both these countries, can learn one another?
Okay, I'm no expert in pedagogy and curriculum structure, but I feel like the German education system is kind of, I don't want to put the wrong words into the statement, but like it presupposes your individual you know what you're doing kind of sense. You know what you're interested in, and maybe it's also because I'm already doing my master's, so you're supposed to know where you're otherwise if you're confused.
You've come so far anyway, so you probably expect that.
Exactly. So but in bachelor's, and like it's a liberal arts university, so I was given the platform to taste out different avenues. Fun story, like when I went to India, I was supposed to be doing computer science. So it's a huge shift from a computer systems whatever view to studying biology. So that's the thing I wanted to emphasize, because like they exposed me to different streams. So I had to pick what I was interested in. So that self-discovery of what you're interested in arose there. So if I hadn't sorted my interest in India, for a person coming from, let's say, a bachelor's study in Ethiopia, it might be very tough to grapple with what's expected here, because the system itself expects you to know what you're doing.
You want to do, of course. Yeah, I mean, anyways, when you move to a country, everyone faces any challenges or any kind of new stuff he has to learn to move to a country. What are some of your personal challenges that you had to overcome when you moved to Germany?
Yeah. One thing I've noticed is like your perception of time changes. How you see your it was very weird for me initially when I came, because everyone compartmentalizes their daily routines and times and this and that schedule stuff. Okay. Which obviously, as you know, like in Ethiopia, we don't, we just flow.
Go with the flow kind of.
Yeah, go with the flow and stuff. So you, when people ask you, so what are you doing this afternoon? You can't give them I might be here, might be there. Yeah. You need to be oh, I'll be here from here to this. I think it's not as strict as it might sound from my statement, but you need to know where you'll be at that particular day, and your calendars will be filled and stuff. And I understand, because for you to function well here, I think you need to have that mindset of structuring yourself and your daily routines, because then you might miss an U-Bahn and you might come an hour late to a meeting, and if the other person is expecting you to be strictly there, if you have a podcast session or whatever, it might mess it around. But if the people if they pass through the same kind of messy time perception, they'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is always also the challenge, because when you come to a country other than your own country, because I talk with other guests also, you always find people from your own country, so to find that comfort, and that brings two sides, either good or bad.
Yes.
So because if, like you said, if someone is the same way you do, he will understand. Yeah. But then that brings you no further, because you're in a new country, but you have still the same kind of culture, you know. But then also on the other, and then the same side is you can teach the other person to have understanding.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Because Germans are very strict. If you come, it's for them, if you're late, live or die situation. But then they see how you react. It's it's fine. And then maybe they will okay, maybe just, they will never understand it, but then just give a bit of perspective.
It also depends your level of interaction with that person, because if they have interacted with you long enough and they know how you see time and how organized you are with time and stuff, they will have less expectations of when they would expect you for dinner or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with me. I have a good, my best friend. He is from Cambodian, so it's
okay.
So he the first time I got to know him was we spoke only English, because I didn't speak German and stuff. Yeah. And then now, where everybody has when we grow and stuff like that, I will be always late. So whenever we meet, he will give me 30 minutes advance. So he says, let's say if we're gonna meet at 2, he would say, let's meet at 2:30, but then he will be there already at 2:30, because I will be coming. Yeah. Not at 2:30, half an hour. Yeah. Let's say at 2, and then he will be there half an hour. So then he will understand, long enough. But when we come now, living in Germany and having a new culture, being exposed to, what do you think that experience you have now in Germany will bring you to in the future, having those being punctual or having learned a new language?
Yeah.
What do you think that will contribute to your future?
The elephant in the room is language, of course. I mean, so currently I'm not taking German classes, but I know it's very important to function here. And
it's tough also. German is very tough.
Yeah, it is a tough language. But one thing I've realized, I mean, after coming to Germany, is I've valued networks more. I don't know whether I'm getting into a corporate kind of scenario, but like it's very important to know who you're surrounded with, and like anywhere, whenever you meet people and you don't know who that person is doing and what they might be associated with, who they might be associated with, not in a self-centered like mode of interaction where you whatever lure people into whatever, but like I have met a lot of people in my past few years that have helped me be places and like interact with like crazy amount of people that I really appreciate. So I have started appreciating network, not in a nepotistic manner like where you bribe or whatever, but like it's very important to like see that human interaction encounter. Like I value it the most at the moment, and I'm thankful for Germany for that. It was there in India too, but like not to the same level
as you have here.
As I have. Interesting story. Like the friend of mine that I met in India helped me. I stayed at her family friend's place for almost a month.
Oh wow!
Rent free, because nice. You know the Munich accommodation
very expensive
crisis, and and
it's a
so
good word. It is crisis.
It is a huge crisis. So I had like, because I knew her and she knew people living in Munich, I managed to stay 1 month, and many people are not as privileged to do such kind of stuff. So I've appreciated that human network interaction.
Nice. So shout out to you. What was her name?
Surya.
Surya, shout out to you. Yeah. You being a good friend. Yeah. You are a good friend.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be also tough, you know, when you move to a country where there's nobody, like no family, no friends, you have to find new friends.
Mm-hmm.
How do you motivate yourself to go up every day? Okay, I have to do this, because in some cases, maybe some parents sold their house to send you somewhere else, you know, it's not the same. Not everybody has the same privileges. Yeah. So how do you stay motivated in that sense?
Yeah, I hope we don't get into existential mode of discussion. What's your motivation? But like, I just like what I'm doing, and I genuinely believe I'm doing something like valuable to my own life and hopefully to someone else. So that I guess that keeps me going.
That's good motivation.
With the parent and family side, I was lucky enough to like, I don't have that much of a demanding parents as many Ethiopians or
like that's
people
what I
from
said.
global south have. So like it would be a lie if I'd be like, oh, I wake up to help out and stuff. Which I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but like that's not really what is forcing me to wake up at 7 a.m.
So you got your own motivation going on to keep you up.
I hope it stays longer. It lasts.
No, that's good. So let's take you a bit to the future now. So you're gonna stay in Germany like a bit longer until you finish your study, and I don't know if you want to work here or something. Is there any goals you want to achieve in Germany, or is Germany one of your stepping stone to another country?
I hope it's a stepping stone.
Okay.
Even if I'm staying in Germany, I hope whatever I'm studying is going to be a stepping stone to something more fruitful and but like I have this like not philosophy, but like I see the word like I will go wherever what I'm interested in takes me, and I know it might sound like privileged. I'm not a privileged person, but like it might sound like, oh, this guy is so he's full of himself and whatever. He wants to go conquer the world or whatever. But
why
like,
not?
I wouldn't have imagined like 10 years ago that I would be here talking to you. So like I just followed a couple of things that I found interesting, and the system, the Dhamma will take its own process, and it will take you places. So I hope whatever I'm doing today or yesterday or whatever will take me somewhere better in the future. But at the same time, I don't really have a rigid future plan of where I'll be here at this time. Because I used to have that pre-COVID period. I was supposed to be somewhere else, and stuff happens in between. Then you need to learn to readjust, and so I don't know if I answered the question.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. But I heard you thinking or planning to go in a entrepreneurial like path, like startup or businesses of your own.
Yeah, but it's not in a sense of that's what I want to do, like in a something set on stone or whatever.
Okay.
But I'm interested in, and as I told you, like I was lucky enough to meet like amazing people that I'm really like proud to like publicly promote their works and stuff. So I am part of a startup that just that's soon to be launched. We'll come back and have another podcast about the launch. I'm kidding.
So you if you're not allowed to talk about it, just
no.
Okay,
It's not that. I just don't want to promote whatever. But like it's an EdTech company that me, a friend of mine, and a former dean of my high school are trying to work on something related to AI. You guys can check it out. We're on a testing phase now.
Okay.
It's called Helena.ai.
Wow.
So
I know what it means, but can you tell them what it means? Because Helena is an Ethiopian word.
Helena, I don't want to butcher the definition of Helena, but like it's the closest would be consciousness in English. So it's an EdTech company where it helps students and college students and high school graduates to help on different aspects of what's required in higher level education. Because I passed through the same Ethiopian education system where you have to like cram crazy amount of book stuff that might not be even relevant in the future, and you have to pass certain, the traditional education system is failing, not just in Ethiopia, like around the world, to produce like fully agent human beings that function well in the world. So me and a couple of friends, they started the company and they were like, you should join us. Shout out to Abel and
Shout out
Isra.
To Isra.
Yeah. So we're working on that now.
Nice.
We're in testing phase of the platform now.
Nice.
And hopefully we'll launch it soon. Yeah.
So do you know when it will be launched, or is it?
So hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months it will be launched. Now we're doing the beta testing of the platform.
Okay. So I can put the link under this video then,
yes,
and
definitely.
Then people can check it out.
Sure.
I will check it out, and the link you will find
Thank you so much.
Under this video, no problem. Yeah. Maybe one day they will sponsor this podcast.
No. You guys will sponsor us.
Just to go to the next question will be what inspired you to take this like path? I mean, of course they started first and then they asked you to join, but you could have said also no.
Yeah. But like my friend Abel, who's now in Addis, working on this with problems of electricity, as you know, back home, he's doing great jobs there. He just told me his idea with Isra. Like we've been talking about this, like, whenever you gather together, and so the education system that we passed through. So I was lucky enough, me, Abel, and Isra is the dean of the high school that I went to.
It's in Ethiopia.
In Ethiopia,
okay.
yes. Okay. So when I joined, I'm the first batch. We call the Ahadu batch.
Okay.
When I joined the school, it just started. Like we were the first batch. So it used to be called International Leadership Academy of Ethiopia. It's not that popular. It was not popular then. Now it's called Labawi.
What does that mean?
Labawi means it's a type of knowing.
Okay.
In English, I don't know if it exists. It's a type of knowing from the heart. It's from a Giz word. Labawi is a Giz word.
Kind of Libbawi.
Libbawi. But it's a knowledge, not a propositional knowing, but it's more of like it comes from within. So it follows an Ethiopian philosophy of there is knowledge within us, and there is also knowledge out there. So you need to, the philosophy of our high school is like to merge what is within you and what is out there and make sense of the world. So we passed through that system of like, it was I can say it was an experimental school back then. So I have seen how my education system is different from the traditional high school system. So we don't really notice it to the same level until you reach places where you interact with different people and like, oh, how did you get this insight? Like, okay, then, so jump into the future. Like we saw how the AI world is developing, and like it's crazy. So we were like, oh, why not use this for good, and fill in that gap that is in there with the normal traditional education system that's present.
AI is a very favorite topic in this podcast, because
really
some of the guests I have work with AIs, and they had different opinions. People go check out the episodes 1st and 4th, I think, episode. And it's interesting how people, like, different perspective from other people, how they see it, and what could possibly change in human life.
Exactly.
So it's very interesting. But starting a business is not something small, or it's not you should just take it, you know what, I'm gonna do this and that. But what challenges are you anticipating? Because with the startup and everything, because it's gonna be challenges, it's gonna be difficult times where you might fail or not. I hope you will succeed. Knock on wood. But that gives you also kind of learning exposure. You know, failure is always, it's a learning curve, I'd say. So what do you think could be challenging?
So currently what's challenging is we're at different time zones. Ezra is in the
electricity.
I don't want to get into politics.
Okay.
But we're in different time zones, and we have our own things we need to deal with. All of us are doing this on our extra,
of course, everyday life you have also to deal with.
Exactly. So I have to deal with Deutsche Bahn, this, that, whatever. So I have to allocate some time that works for all team members.
Okay.
Isra is in the US, Abel is in Addis. So that's one of the challenge. Second, the technical startup issues of finding funding. Luckily, the AI infrastructure is good. At the moment, it's growing like crazy, so you can tap into the development and feel the problems and stuff. But we have the vision.
Nice.
We have and like mostly what matters in like teamwork and startup. I'm not an expert. Again, I study flowers and bees and stuff. But what really matters is if you know the people you're working with, and if they have the same vision and incentives in life, I think I don't see the problem that it won't work out. It might not be working, as I said, and like we might not have a product in like 3 months, but hopefully in 6 months we'll definitely have one.
Nice. Interesting one. I had also, I'm talking about all my guests again.
Yeah.
I had a guest who also started his startup, also with AI, I think. And I don't know. I will have to catch up again with him. I think, but I think he found the funding or something like that. I'm following his journey, so I will bring it back again, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But since it's educational, like business, you just in a suggestion, you can also like approach like maybe unis, or I don't know, if people maybe want to invest, because I thought also when he says it might be difficult to get funding, of course, but now everybody want to create something, and then people might think, okay,
the AI hype and stuff. Oh, you're also doing AI, like
exactly.
You need the thing is like you need. It depends on your business model and what you want to achieve and produce. So there are probably funding places and people out there who are interested in different aspects of your product. So that's what we're currently like. We're going through what is the requirement. We apply to places, this and that. Good news, bad news. They might want to see how your product is unique from other educational platforms.
Yes.
There is like Khan Academy, this and that are already functioning. So you need to have that unique identity again that you bring up.
That like pops out of other people.
Exactly. So we believe it's unique, whatever we have, and we saw the problem because we passed through it. And from someone remotely someplace in Europe or the US who just wants to have a startup, I think it's unique because maybe they haven't passed through the constraints. And so we believe it's unique, but we are also looking for unique funders who are actually into the idea more than just their profits. I
mean, it's always when you start a business from the struggle you had in life, because then people understand and know that you mean it seriously, because then you want to fix this problem, the struggle for other people. That makes it a unique selling point, I would say.
Exactly.
To other potential fund or like investors.
Yeah.
So I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so
hopefully, like I said, sponsor this podcast. So AI. What kind of AI do you use in your day-to-day life?
My phone has different AI features. I mean, the GPTs, the Geminis, and all this. I use them for like researching, for editing, like the standard
day-to-day what you face.
I don't have a podcast, so I don't I don't use them for that sense, and like but I value, like it's a very powerful tool. And it's going to be crazy how it will change the world in both good and bad. So that's partly also what our company is very cautious of, I have to say, because I feel like Ethiopia and our continent in general, Africa, has been trying to catch up with the rest of the world in one way or another, especially in the technological spheres. Even though we have like crazy creators and startup people working in Kenya, Rwanda, like South Africa, all of the big, Nigeria. Ethiopia is also a bit late to the game, but we're trying to stretch. But how it's shaping, when I see how it's shaping things here and in India, which was crazy, because I feel like they're on some other level. Like I feel like this multipolar power dynamics is huge, China and all. So you see how these things are rippling around and going bigger and bigger, and you're like, oh, what are we going to be dealing with in the next 5-10 years in Ethiopia? Or so like this is a weird kind of like, you know how the colonial period was like, so that dynamics, I hope it doesn't, and I hope people in the AI Silicon Valley world are cautious about it, and many of them talk about it, but like you don't see these conversations in Ethiopia, for instance. People are not aware of what the heck is going on, like at least to my knowledge. Maybe I might be ignorant about it, but for both good and bad, like you can use it to I don't like the idea of us just following and catching up and
I mean, I totally understand. It's supposed to be, but it's not always. You don't get always what you want.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will able to catch up. Yeah. And
one crazy fact that has shocked me recently is Google and this big companies, tech companies, consume more energy, electrical energy, than many countries in Ethiopia, in Africa. Sorry. Yeah. Like their gross consumption of energy is greater than some countries' energy use. So that's why I brought up the whole startup problem. We're facing electricity problems in Ethiopia, and some company somewhere is using so like when you see this kind of figures and data and stuff, you're like, okay, how is it going to change?
I mean, maybe those kind of stuff are the things that pulling us down, not achieving where we want to be. So I mean, in the personal case, we cannot change anything. So we have to hope and pray that one day maybe we can be again the greatest country. Yeah, I mean, when I remember back, it's when it was like we were led by kings. I mean, because Ethiopia was very respected, you know. So it might not be good for what we did, I don't know, but the respect was there.
There was a time that Ethiopians roam around Europe with like lions and stuff. Exactly. Like this is the kind of stuff that is crazy, but like now we're
I mean, we started so good, and then anyways,
but it's never late.
So. Never better late than never. So I don't know if you watched past episodes. So on this podcast, I have a culture where a guest write a question without knowing who the question will be for. So someone else before you wrote a question which you will be answering, and they didn't know that you were going to be set here.
No, okay.
So I will give you the
multiple choice question.
I don't think so, but it's a question where you have to answer. Okay? The first one, the only
one. Ooh. Define happiness.
You have to write also one of your own questions for the next guest.
Okay, I don't know. Happiness is like, I don't know. I'm not. I don't think I'm the right person to answer this. Not because I'm a sad person, but like.
No, I don't say that.
My perception of happiness is a bit weird. Like, happiness is like ice cream or things like you enjoy momentarily, I guess. Like, I feel like whenever I think of happiness, it's like kids. That's what comes to my head. Childhood. I don't think the real world is just about like rainbows and happiness. And I'm not saying you shouldn't seek it, but I feel like it's a byproduct or like a side effect of things.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean, you can get it small, like everyday happiness with, like you said, ice,
coffee.
Yeah,
that's the closest thing I have to happiness. Mostly,
nice.
Yeah. I mean,
but childhood is always easy because there's nothing you have to do.
Carefree life.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for sharing your insights about your life and your journey, and about your upcoming startup. Thank you. And do you have any final thoughts you would like to share?
I would like to say thank you for having me. It's a huge privilege. Because I don't know. I'm like, yeah. So basically, that's all I have to say, I guess. Thank you for having me here. You're an amazing host, taking care of me with tea. And yeah, I hope we'll meet again in another episode or something. Or we're thinking of having our own platform, so we'll probably have some interaction.
Sure, we can collaborate, no problem.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, and any advice for from your perspective, because you studied in a other country than Germany before, so it's also unique.
Yeah. Limit your expectations. Be open to new. I know the statements are overhyped, I guess.
No, it's
it's actually the reality. Like being open to things and seeing the good in things, I think, is the only like advice I would give as a newbie traveler or person living abroad. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to you guys too to tune in every week, and really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I wish you good luck in your life and also in startup.
Yeah.
And as always, I say keep exploring, find new challenges and new cultures so you can learn how everything is connected. Until next time, this was Unfiltered Culture, your host Aman. See you. Peace.